I heard about it again in Orlando, and Las Vegas, and San Bernardino, and Charleston, and right here in Chattanooga, Tennessee. But I only heard about it. It wasn't real, and I couldn't process that it is such a real thing that has happened, and it's gonna keep happening. 1 month ago, 17 students were killed in Parkland on February 14th. And I didn't just hear about it, I saw it. I opened a video on social media because I didn't know what it was. It looked like a normal school just like ours. They had blue desk chairs and posters on the walls, and they had lockers and a desk for the teacher, and they had blood and bodies all on the floor. And I couldn't understand how we can see that in horror movies and on TV, and it doesn't click that it really happens. It happened in a real school that looks just like ours. It has been happening for as long as anybody can remember. And if the adults are just going to argue and nobody's going to take action, then it's up to us, because we are not the future, we are the right now. Right now we have this time to grieve, to remember, to hope and to love, and most importantly, to make something change. And we are not going to be silent about this, because this has to end. So now we will not be silent, we are going to be heard.
Please bear in mind, today is to honor and respect those that have lost their lives, their children, and their best friends. It's not to have a political debate, and it's not even to convince anybody to speak and think in any specific way. Today is about making a stand, saying that this is a problem and that our generation wants to change the world and prevent this from happening. Saying that this needs to be done, something needs to be done, regardless of what you believe that is. Today is not about disagreement and arguing. Today is about coming together as a nation. Now, I'd like to share a story that someone very close to my heart shared with me a few days after the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas shooting. I did not write this, but I wish I knew who did so I could credit them. February 14th, 2018. You wake up at 6 a.m. You remember that it's Wednesday, February 14th, 2018. You know that it's Valentine's Day, a day that is filled with love and is dedicated to the people that mean the most to you. You get up, get dressed, and you're about to leave. You hug your mom and dad. You tell them how much you love them. It's the most amazing feeling in the world to hear them say, "I love you too." On your way to school, you think about how much your family means to you. They are your world. You would do absolutely anything to protect them. They make you, you. You walk into class, ready for a great day, you're smiling, everybody is happy. You see your best friend and you think to yourself, this person means the world to me. You tell them how much you love them, you're in the middle of learning and you hear the fire alarm. You and your classmates rush into the hallways. You thought nothing of this drill. The next sound you hear changes your life forever. A gunshot. You hear kids screaming, you all rush back into the classroom, into the corner, just like you did when you practiced a lockdown. It's silent. All you hear is heartbeats and heavy breathing from your peers. You sit there. You text your mom. "Mom, I just wanted to let you know that I love you, and I think that this may be the last time I get to say this." You wait. 20 minutes later, a gunshot. Even louder this time. You see the glass on your window on your classroom door burst into pieces. You shake. You feel the hot tears fall down your face and you hear your friends scream in terror. You hold your best friend's hand. Next thing you know, another shot. But this time, it takes a life. The life of your best friend. The person you knew more than anybody else, the one you wanted to grow up with, that made you smile like nobody else. They lay there, and you sit in shock. You can't believe that you were living your worst nightmare. As you hear that 16 other kids that you grew up with were killed, you were rushed out of the school and into your mom's arms. You watch your friend be carried out of the school. You see the police and SWAT teams walking with guns. All you can hear is screams of horror repeating in your head. You remember that you'll never see your best friend again. You'll never get that "I love you too" from them. You experience an event that everybody has said would most likely not happen. February 14th, 2018. A day that was supposed to be filled with love and was supposed to be dedicated to the ones that mean the most to you. And the saddest part of this story is that this was some kid's reality. End every conversation that you ever have with an "I love you" rather than a goodbye. Never leave an argument open and never go to sleep angry. Be glad that you have every opportunity in the world to hold those people close to you, because not everybody does, and too many people suddenly lose that opportunity.
High school is a busy time. I think we can all agree that each of us has a lot going on in our lives. It's easy to get wrapped up in ourselves and what we're doing or where we're going. Sometimes we forget about the people around us. I'm sure many of you can relate to a situation that you were skeptical of. You see something strange, it makes you feel uneasy, but you brush it off and tell yourself that you're just being paranoid. You're overthinking it, and it means nothing. It's not a big deal, and even if it is a big deal, you don't want to be the person who gets someone else in trouble. It's this type of mentality that is feeding into the violence happening in schools every day. Violence that we have the power to prevent. When we ignore or dismiss those circumstances that make us uncomfortable, even if the feeling is slight, we risk putting ourselves in danger. It never hurts to be cautious. Pay attention to your surroundings. If you hear or see something firsthand from a friend or on social media, tell someone. If everyone thinks another person will report it, then no one ever will. If you witness a scenario that seems off, you have to take it seriously and let someone know. School is supposed to be a secure and protected environment where people come to learn and should remain free of crime and violence. No student should ever walk into a school building wondering if they will walk back out. Unfortunately, this horrible thought is no longer a rarity. It is a reality. Because of this, it is up to students, teachers, and administrators alike to keep our school allowing only the activities it was intended for. We must recognize that in a day and age where guns are so easily accessible, there will be severe consequences as a result. While many are responsible gun owners, there are plenty who are not. People out there are buying guns for the wrong reasons. Gun threats are not a joke, nor should they ever be taken lightly. We all have the ability to speak out when something feels wrong. We can't wait for others to do the job for us. Even if you think it might be nothing or some sort of sick joke, don't ever take chances and gamble something as precious as the well-being of yourself or those around you. In each of us lies the capability to prevent situations like Parkland. Be kind to the people around you, be mindful of what you do and say, and be considerate of how it could affect others. Take every potential threat seriously. We owe it to ourselves and to each other to speak up, to point out those little details, to notice the things that aren't quite right. Keeping our school and our community starts with all of us. Do the right thing, be aware, and be responsible. If you see something or hear something, say something.
This is a poem that I wrote. It's called Moments. We have been told since we were kids that we can achieve all of our dreams, that the way we think and how we feel is important. When asked what we want to be when we grow up, we respond with a variety of things: princess, president, lawyer, architect, astronaut, NASCAR driver, football player. Not once did we have to think that we should have told them that what we really wanted to be was a lie so that we could grow up. Maybe if we'd thought of that, we wouldn't be here. We wouldn't be in a country where children have to cower in corners while principals bang on the doors and plead for help in order to imitate a real school shooter. We wouldn't live in a world where there are instructional videos that show you how to use the blood of a victim and cover yourself in it so you look dead as well. Then you aren't a target. Because in this country, survival is something that must be fought for within the four walls of a classroom where you are supposed to be learning algebra. Our lives exist in moments. Moments before, moments after, the moments themselves. As children, we thought that we would have infinite moments: college, marriage, jobs, high school, middle school, etc. Little did we know that our moments would be defined by other things. The moment before and after a ring, before and after a smile from the person that means the most to you, before and after a test, before and after a gunshot. That moment is when the world is a blur and you think all is lost, cowering in a corner and thinking about whether or not you told your mom that you loved her before you walked out the door. If your life ends here, then what was all of this for? That college that just accepted you? That boy who said he thought you were cute too? The fight with your sister the other day when he said he loved you and you didn't know what to say? What does any of it mean if this is your last moment? They told you it can never happen here. A nonsensical way to ease all of your fears, as if violence can escape children, can escape people in any state, in any place. Movie theaters, schools, hospitals, clubs, on the street, a struggle we will always have to face, and every single time it's the same. Thoughts and prayers. My heart goes out to the victims. This is a mental health issue that we need to fix, and the list just goes on and on and on and on. But when have we seen change? Words without action mean nothing. Moments without people to live them mean nothing. The children, the people who have suffered at the hands of violence have to live every day knowing that it still hasn't reached an end. Do the moments that these people could have lived mean nothing? The people they could have loved, the lives they could have changed, the places they could have seen, the thoughts they could have had? Out like the flicker of a candle. When will we get a handle on this problem? How many more people have to die? How many more moments do we have to let lie before we unite and realize that there is a solution? There's a world that we can live in where our children don't have to think about saying that the biggest thing they want to be when they grow up is alive.
We say because an atrocity has happened. The truth is that these have become the norm. In the first 45 days of 2018, there were 17 shootings in the US alone. I hate to say it, but it is more than a tragedy. It is a disgrace that every moment we live relies on the pure chance that no one will bring a gun to the school and butcher us. We can talk about what we need to change, but I want to reflect on the bravery and courage that each person in Florida showed on that day, and that each of us need. There was a teacher in Florida named Aaron Fies, a man who died putting himself between his students and an armed shooter because he cared more about his students than himself. What we need more of in this country is the courage to do something, rather than sit in the background and watch as our friends and our parents and our teachers die because we failed to do anything. And so it is with this idea that I want to read a quote from Winston Churchill. To every man there comes in his lifetime that special moment when he is figuratively tapped on the shoulder and offered the chance to do a very special thing, unique to him and fitted to his talents. What a tragedy if that moment finds him unprepared or unqualified for that which could have been his finest hour.
I'm a numbers guy, and when I think about a problem, I like to make my judgments based on the information available in figures instead of using my emotions as facts. I want to preface this by saying I fully support the Second Amendment. I support the right of every American who is mentally sound to own a firearm, but what I don't support is for civilians to own weapons which were created specifically to kill humans efficiently. I learned something recently. In 1994, Congress passed the federal assault weapons ban. which expired in 2004. This banned the sale of assault rifles and large magazines for 10 years. A professor at the University of Massachusetts found that during this time, compared to the 10 years prior to the ban, the number of gun massacres during the ban fell by 37%, and the number of people dying from gun massacres fell by 43%. But after this lapsed, there was a 183% increase in massacres and a 293% increase in massacre deaths. In Parkland 1 month ago, 17 people lost their lives, which is 17 too many, but what if 10 of those had survived? If trading my right to purchase a military-grade weapon means saving those kids, and more kids in the future, then sign me up. Because now is the time to change. Now is the time to call our representatives and say, we know these kids could have been saved, so why aren't you doing something? Now is the time to say no one needs to be able to fire more than 10 rounds sequentially. Now is the time to say enough. There's only one person in this school I trust to carry a firearm, and he's wearing a blue uniform with the sheriff's shield on it. The truth of the matter is, the NRA is no longer a member-based organization. According to Business Insider, less than half of its revenue comes from membership now. The NRA has become a mouthpiece for the gun industry, which has one thing on its mind: their bottom line. Asking teachers to carry guns has nothing to do with school safety. Guns are durable pieces of machinery that can be passed down generation to generation. So the manufacturers have to find a way to sell guns. One way is to make guns a novelty, assault rifles capable of firing multiple rounds every second. But with assault rifles under fire, the gun industry needs a new way to sell guns. And what better than to arm the teachers of America in the name of school safety? So let's not think about the possibility of a student overpowering a teacher. Let's not think that having guns already in the school building makes any measure to keep them out null. Let's not consider that when police arrive on the scene, it'd be hard to distinguish an adult intruder from an armed teacher. Let's not think about these things, because the gun maker's bottom line is more important. I don't care where you fall on the political spectrum, whether you're on the left, the right, in the middle, or you don't care at all. I encourage you to listen, discuss, and be open. Don't try to change people's minds, but do try and understand where they're coming from. That's the only way we can ever hope to move forward. And wherever you stand, it's not too soon to contact your representatives. Thank you.
Students of Ooltewah High School, I would like to leave you not on a note of hopelessness, but with the hope for a better future. I know that after the events of the Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School shooting, a feeling of terror and disgust still lingers at the idea that actions of hate and death could happen to students so young, students like us. But gun violence is an issue that that you, that all of us can combat. There is no easy or quick solution for a problem that has existed within America for what will be almost 20 years this April. But it is time. It is now that we are able to take action. After 19 years, our generation has not only the ability, but the raw passion and drive to change the course that this nation takes. We have the walkout today, but it does not have to end here. This is simply the first step in a long list of actions in preventing future gun violence in our own community and from other communities across the nation. There is more organizing to be done, more advocacy against school shootings, more truth about these incidents, more student voice needed on the issues that directly affect us. Each individual here in this room has the power to prevent deaths, from starting a letter writing campaign to registering to vote, from participating in walkouts and marches to organizing events at school, from calling your senators and representatives to voting for the officials who stand for the causes you care about. Even actions as simple as supporting the victims of gun violence or remembering such tragedies are effective. Even showing love and kindness to all people is taking action. Because with each person who recognizes the gravity of our situation and understands that a community of people is so much stronger than one individual, that is one more person who stands with those affected by school shootings, by those affected by hate.
As we begin wrapping up this tribute, I would like to address that this event is not only for the lives that were lost in the school shootings, but also so that we understand the gravity of this issue and that change is demanded. On average, there are 3 school shootings per week. This is something that needs to be reformed. Schools are meant to be a place of learning and love, not war and hate. School shootings affect the lives of all families, because even though it may not be your school, it means somewhere a mom lost her child, a brother lost a sibling, a grandfather lost his grandchild. It means there's another country stunned with grief, and communities across the country are forced to relieve their own anguish, and parents across the country who are scared because they know that they know it's not their own family. However, it could have been. As we learn more about these victims of school shootings, one thing is common, that these were just young men and women who were studying and working and learning hard with their eyes set on the future, their dreams on what they could have made of their lives. This is not something any family should suffer through.
We would like to conclude by illuminating a candle in remembrance of the victims from the Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida, with a couple of words from their friends and family. This was said about Alyssa's Alejandro's mom. Alyssa was a beautiful, smart, talented, successful, awesome, amazing soccer player. You'll be greatly missed, Alyssa. We love you so much. You'll always, always be in our hearts.
Scott Beagle, he was one of the teachers that was killed. Mr. Beagle was my hero, and he still will forever be my hero. I will never forget the actions he took for me and for fellow students in the classroom. I am alive today because of him.
This is Martin Dunkite. He was a student just like us. He was a very funny kid, outgoing and sometimes really quiet. He was sweet and caring and loved by all of his family. Most of all, he was my baby brother.
This was about Nicholas Dwaret. He was a student. Nick's death is a reminder that we are connected to the larger world, and when tragedy hits in places around the world, it oftentimes affects us at home. Robert L. Manuel, president of University of Indianapolis, Nick's future college.
This was said about Aaron Feiss, a teacher and a coach. He died the same way that he lived. He put himself second. He was a kind soul, a nice man, and he died a hero.
This is a statement from the father of Jamie Gutenberg. My heart is broken. I am broken as I write this, trying to figure out how my family gets through this. Hugs to all and hold your children tight.
This is about Chris Hickson, a teacher. His wife, Deborah, was telling CNN that he was probably the best man but she couldn't finish.
Luke Hoyer was a student. He was an amazing individual, always happy, always smiling. His smile was contagious, and so was his laugh.
Kara Loran. Kara was a beautiful soul and always had a smile on her face, stayed at the dance studio where she danced. We are heartbroken as we send our love and support to her family during this horrible time.
Gina Montalto. My heart is broken into pieces. I will forever remember you, my sweet angel.
Joaquin Oliver. Among friends at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School, he was known as Guac, a moniker that appeared on his Instagram account. His interest, football, basketball, the Venezuelan national soccer team, urban graffiti, hip hop.
Elena Petty. While we will not have the opportunity to watch her grow up and become the amazing woman we know she would have become, we are keeping an eternal perspective, said by her family.
Meadow Pollock. Meadow had been accepted at Lynn University in Boca Raton. Meadow was a lovely young woman who was full of energy. We were very much looking forward to having her join our community in the fall.
Helena Ramsey. She was a student. Helena was smart, kind-hearted, and thoughtful person. She was deeply loved and loved others even more so. Though she was somewhat reserved, she had a relentless motivation toward her academic studies, and her soft, warm demeanor brought the best out in all who knew her. She was brilliant and witty, and I'm still wrestling with the idea that she's actually gone.
Alex Schatcher's father said, "I buried Alex in the same cemetery as his mother, who passed away 10 years ago. Today I moved her so that she could be next to Alex and take care of him."
Carmen Shintrup. Rest in peace, Carmen. Your family is forever in my thoughts and prayers. I'm so sorry.
Peter Wang. Kelsey, a friend who shared a culinary class with Peter, said she started screaming and crying when she found out her friend's death by looking at images on Google of those who had died. I'm wearing my culinary shirt right now to remember him, she told CNN. Kelsey said Peter had been excited about Chinese New Year, which fell on Friday. Me and my family celebrated it for him eating Chinese. Kelsey said the two of them were close. It's hard to not have him in the hallways anymore because me and him used to laugh with each other. He used to make me smile, and now he's gone. Kelsey and other friends said Peter was shot while holding a door open to let fellow classmates get to safety. Peter was 15 years old. He was a freshman and part of the JRTC program, and he has now been admitted into the United States Military Academy for his actions.
And at this time, we would like to hold a moment of silence for the 17 victims.